whalewalu le teimi whaatulanga ina mo le iloilonga le maota I le pili numela tolus fulu iwa sfulu ma le lua. O leo te wala watu ma le whaaloalo I mori mausa wala wina se tala mai au I le maota au whao diori le tātou sauninga. Ia whao pēr le te ringa le malu o le tai au au le popole. O le a whao au tātou I loilonga I no fōa ia wawanoa. Aftai nei tai au fōu, al whai manu ia mai o le, nei tai au fōu le fio le presidente, ma sui presidente, ia e maise ai o le mamalu o le, pai inga fōi o le, whono whai tūla whono i senate le nei, fōi wha al mai tau, ia nei tai au fōu o le tātou ilo ilonga mua le nei o le, nei fōi vaenga o le tātou ngā duenga, ia e ala I le tūla whono tau wha ofi. Ua iau tau luma tolus fulu iwa sfulu ma le lua. Ia vi ia pele alofa ma le anga le lei o le tua, tau au ina o loutou soifua ma le tātou wola. Iau toi maua I fwele ni tai au fau, toi fwoi manu ia mai. Ia e mai sei la tau sa malanga ma mau atu I le atu nuu o le manu o tele. Ia awa le whaelonga ina o le sisi ngā fua I le nei tau sanga. Whaaftai le tua ua toe mōrio o manuia mai lau tau soifua. Ia leo tātou toe whailoa I manuia ai. Ua I ufo I male manuia fuafuanga uma le malo manua. Ia e wha whailoa I atu fo I le nei tai au le tala mai o ala ua fionga I lo I sili. La ua fionga Gwen. Tauiliili-Langkilde, ia whapea foi le sunga I le lo ia whawhautua le awhionga le Covensili, e pe on whaatalo sangaina lo urua awe mai. Ia awa se taofi, ia a se whautuanga mō le tātou tūla whono tau whaofi. On behalf of the Committee of the Whole of the Senate this morning, I would like to welcome the Attorney General, Ms. Gwen Tauiliili-Langkilde, upon the invitation to assist us in examining the introduced legislation in Senate Bill number 3912, and also welcoming also the Chief Legal Counsel for the Governor, and we welcome your presence today. I will say a word of prayer to open our session this morning, then we proceed to the business of the morning. Vi ia levelo wang le dei le tua, ona o le nei tai au fōu e saunia mo I mātou, iau o onu nei amata mai lava I lo mātou te tai, le fionga le presidente mo lon sui, whapea fōi le mawalunga o fionga I ali sen toto fio I tu malo, o le mamalu lava lea I le nei e tunu e pe ona e to fia I ai o tangata ma lau whanau. Mātou whawhtai ono lo wanga le lei le soifua ma le ola ua mātou maua. Ua mwhai ai ona whaaua wina o la mātou ngā ruenga le nei tai au. Ai mai se ai o I lātou sa malanga atu I fuafuanga fo I a le whai ngā māloa manua, ua toi te liu manuia mai ma mātou whailoa I fia le nei tai au le saunga le mū ma le fia. Whafo I atu le vi inga I lau fio I mea uma lava, ma le mātou tāl sanga, a wina mai lau nganga pa ia, e musu ina o mātou loto ma nganga ma o mātou mafo whaunga, a o mātou ilo I tūla whono, a wāse manuia o le atu nuu ma ona tangata I le anga I le lumana I pei ona e whina ngaloai. Whapa ia le mātou ngā luenga le nei tai au, ia maua le tō whā, ia maua le whāu tautanga, ia pa ia lea tō whā ona o lou whasoasoa ni mai. Mātou te talo ai aini o mātou sema ni o mātou o leo le tua wha mangalo I mātou e ala I le toto tā ua Iesu Keriso. Ua lātou ai nei tārsanga. Amen. The Senate Bill 12 seeks to streamline the issues that continuously affect some of the appointments or designations to boards, commissions, and advisory boards and things like that for our government, because in the past we've had sort of questions arising what happens to a person when they lose their office. Obviously, it was not such a big problem with the appointed directors, but other government employees who had been designated or appointed to certain boards and commissions by reason of their office seem to believe, and we've had some issues on those matters, that they do not lose their seat on the board because their office expires or they are replaced. So that's the goal of this piece of legislation, and I hope you, Madam Attorney General, and the Chief Legal Counsel for the Governor, I hope you've had a chance to review the introduced legislation, and I will yield the floor to you for any comments, advice, or amendments you wish to offer, or anything with respect to your presence this morning. And I want to thank you for making the time this morning on our invitation to hear any comments or advice that you may have with respect to this introduced legislation. Madam Attorney General.
Ai le I avatu se manatu au wale pili tau whao fi mo lava o na vatu la o whaata lofa. A vea ia upe masui o ma ua ma le lo ia le ofisa ko wana. E vatu ai le whaata lofa man whatu lo I le mamalu al komiti. Whapea foi lau a fionga le tai komiti. Whapea foi le plestene a le senati. Ai mai se foi le mamalu o le mauta mawalunga. Ai whaftai foi mo le nei awanoa wa mawaisi awanoa tatou te sila whai ai a wale nei pili tau whao fi tāua. E mānaia foi le manatu a le tai komiti a wale manatu ina ia tau mawhai e wha manino le mata upu le e wha tula I mai. E wha manino ia e o loo whai ma sui o komiti po o boards ale malo. A wale lato ngā lue I ofisa taitasi ale malo. Ia wha manino a uma ona whai o lato ngā luenga wha le malo. Ia ona e manino ina ia ve ese o lato awanoa I komiti po o boards taitasi. Ai ona o le whirongia le tato au moli mau. O lea la a liliu I le ngangana Peritania. A iei lava ni fisili e mwhai ona o fsoswani atu ai I le tātou ngangana. E mwhai fo e ona o thank you, Chairman, for this opportunity. And like you mentioned, it is a good intended bill. I do agree that this is a good bill in terms of giving clarity to this issue as to having people serve on boards based on their responsibilities or jobs within the government. My one suggestion would be, however, is perhaps looking at each particular board in the law, and perhaps whether to consider putting the language specifically into each statutory board or section. I took a look at a very cursory look at the law, at the code, to see how many boards would be affected by this statute, and I counted about 11. And of those 11 boards, these are boards that are created throughout the American Samoa Code. Of those boards, I think only one specifically states that upon their removal from this position, I think it's either treasurer or Department of Agriculture, I can't recall, I have it in my notes, but only one of the 11 specifically states, once they leave the position of government, they also are, leave the board. The others, I think it's just assumed because they are selected based on their position as a director or a member of the government. So my one recommendation, only because it helps to make clear the law, is perhaps whether to consider putting these requirements in each of these remaining 10 board requirements. And I can help with giving the Senate the list of those boards. So that was one, that's one recommendation. The second recommendation, and maybe I'm not sure if this is something also to consider, is that this bill only affects boards that are created by statute. And as you probably know, there are a lot of other boards created by executive order or by administrative rule. So my reading of this bill is it would not touch upon the boards that are created. Well, perhaps it would. It's not really clear, but
You're right about that.
yeah.
And it was purposely done that way because boards and commissions created by executive order is particularly executive action. And we did not want to cross the line between the legislature interfering with executive actions that may cause a constitutional fiasco, because we believe that whatever was created by the governor by executive order should be subject to his actions. And that was the reason why we specifically did not include executive order created authorities.
And those are my only two comments regarding this bill. But otherwise, I think it is a good intended bill in terms of the giving clarity to this issue. Thank you.
Se I whamamana atu mo le paiama o le maota o le mtaupule sa langaina mai e le fionga le loia sili. O le tulafono tau whaofi malana ngangana e fōringa mai e le o awhia ai ia whatonu po o whanatanga whatonu o boards po commission o lai whatulai I lalo le whatonunga whakowana. Ia o le la sa o talia tu ia I sao ia. Ai o le tūlanga na sa iloina fo I le vāo o le tātou ofisa ma le ofisa o le tātou lo ia. O na a whai tātou te tuuina I ai tutonu ia tūlanga na e iai lea wanoa o white na I ai le tātou ngā luenga whai tūlafono. Mamata whai oi al kovana e whai e ia na ia whai unga e ala ia na whatonunga whalau I tele. Ia le mea na e moni ia sa e leo awhia ai tūlanga ia ai sa whaide whai unga e awane I tuuina ia ina I awane I maua se white na inga le vāo le whono whai tūla whono ma le ofisa o kovana ona o le whaatapula aina o le tātou whea ia I lalo le whaavae I tūlanga maoti ma la maoti o le malo. Ia e leila se me o ia ia wa o mea nā ia whaatula ia le kovana e mwhaia fo into e whaata ape le kovana ma sui ana ia tangata fau e manao iai e le o atu iai le tātou puleanga whaafaitula fo ni tūlanga na wa a whaia e whaatula ia le authority e mwhaifo ia into e whaata ape mta au fi mwha uma. Ia o le mea lana lena kau whaapula. Ia ina ia malama le ia le tātou mota. I le mta upuna langa ina mai e le fionga le loi sini. Go ahead.
Whawhatai lava for the opportunity to speak to members of the Senate. I appreciate the opportunity and the invitation. I too share the Attorney General's position that the intent of this bill is well placed. I think anything to make the boards and commissions responsibilities of the governor more smooth and more clear is beneficial. I'm going to make a couple general statements that may be obvious and not a big revelation, but you know, American Samoa, due to its size, has it's more a municipality, not even a large municipality on the mainland, and has all these responsibilities, not only mandates from the federal level, but also the responsibilities that states of great size must fill, and additionally, the responsibilities like immigration and customs that states and municipalities don't have to do. So it is a challenge for the island to fill all the necessary expertise to fill these great responsibilities. And it's amazing, and it must be due to the density of highly qualified and intelligent people here in American Samoa, but it's a challenge. And filling boards, I had the responsibility in Washington State of filling their boards, and finding in a state of 7 million people, it was challenging to find qualified individuals who were willing to spend the time to in many cases, nearly all cases, to volunteer their time and share their expertise with the government on the myriad issues of governance. So just wanted to start with that general comment of one of the challenges that American Samoa has with fulfilling these the responsibility of boards and commissions. It is a large responsibility for many states and territories. The National Governors Association spends a considerable amount of time advising on how that can best be done by the states, what best practices are. So it is no small matter, and I appreciate the Senate's attention to the issue. I also have a couple specific recommendations. One, the term resign. This is nitpicky, but they aren't necessarily resigning. They're being moved off the board, terminated from the boards. So maybe removing, something like that. On definitions, and this is something that the Attorney General, I believe, addressed in her comments, 2A, where it defines what a board is. It talks about appointed by reason of their employment with the government. And I imagine the folks that drafted this legislation struggled with that phrasing a great deal, because that is kind of the crux. Because we have the limit of expertise, what we are appointing in some cases, I know members of the FONO, for instance, to boards and commissions due to their expertise and knowledge in the community. So defining, that's a tricky one, and I don't have at this moment a great recommendation for how we define that reason of employment with the government?
Well, the reason for that is in some of these boards, I'll take for example that comes to mind, the Development Bank. By statute, it does say one member of that board has to be a member of the Senate, and another member, I'm not sure about the House, but it's designated by law. So that gives the president the right to designate that to the governor for his appointment to the board. So when that person's term ends, this is what this new law does say. If the appointment to the board was by reason of that office he holds, then as soon as his term ends, that the right to sit on that board ends as well. That's our reading, and that's the proposed language. Do you find any issues with that, with the language as proposed?
So if I may, so the circumstances, and I hesitate to use hypotheticals, but in this case, I think it's necessary. If the governor has an advisor that is looking into health matters, and they are appointed to a board or commission relating to health matters, is that person appointed due to their position in the government, or is that person being appointed due to their expertise as a health professional? If it's the former, then the suggestion made by the Attorney General of going into the specific statutes that create the board might be a more efficient way of carving out, so there's no confusion about people from within the government who are appointed to boards and whether that appointment was made.
It also applies to directors. Some of the directors sit on certain boards because they are the director. It's not discretionary to the governor.
Right.
But people who are not, the law does not specifically carve out that office, but are appointed by the governor on his own. I don't believe that is covered by this statute, because their presence was not because of their office. It was only by appointment of the governor.
Right.
Unlike the ones that do sit on certain boards because the law says he must.
Right.
So that's the distinction that we've sought to do in this legislation.
Okay. And the one.
And and sometimes, I'm kind of sad that you kind of draw in this thing about not having enough qualified people or competent enough people. That's sad for me to hear you say that, because I don't know if that was meant to be like members of the legislature. They may not be highly qualified people in your view, but as long as they sit as a member of the Senate, they are qualified by the law. And for you to kind of bring that up, that it's a struggle for the government because there's not enough competent people? Is this what I'm hearing from the governor's office? That this is a concern?
I understand your comment, and I apologize if I left that impression.
It is clear. I think that was you not only mentioned that once, but twice, and maybe 3 times in your presentation, and I'm sitting here listening, wondering if this is truly how you folks feel about us here in the legislature, or other people that are appointed to by the governor, for that matter, because he feels that they are qualified and good people to serve.
I apologize if I left that impression. That was not my
You
intention.
clearly did. You clearly did.
I'm sorry that I left that impression. That is, I meant to make the comment or I made the comment that I wish I would have highlighted it more, is that it's a testament to me, to the people of American Samoa and the leaders of American Samoa, that you fill and meet all these requirements due to just such a small population to build from. And
Yeah, which does not make us a municipality, as you said, because if our country here only has 60,000 people, because that's all we have, it's still a country. And the fact that we operate our government in similar fashion to any other state in its governance and things like those, and your reference to saying that we should, perhaps we should consider ourselves a municipality, a small municipality, that's kind of degrading.
I apologize that it was, came across that way. I should have thought.
No, I think you meant to say that. You didn't just blurt it out.
What I meant to say, well, I guess I said what I meant to say, but the intent was not to demean. It was actually to provide respect.
There's no other way to take it but the very, very demeaning from coming from you, representing the governor.
I apologize, Senator. And I have nothing but the greatest respect for the members of the Fono and for the members who serve this community and this government in so many ways. What my intention was to honor how much more effort it takes to fulfill the panoply of responsibilities that are required by this government.
This place is full of competent, smart people.
I haven't
And
seen.
there shouldn't be that problem unless you don't belong to the governor's gang or party. Then it makes things up. But this country is full of very competent, well-educated people.
That is exactly.
And I think you should go back and inform the governor that we don't believe there's a problem in selecting people to fill offices, boards, and commissions, because American Samoa is full of well-educated, competent people.
Well said. Thank you, Senator. I apologize, and I will certainly extend that message, and also apologize. That was not my intention of my message. It was just one of the challenges that I see us facing as a territory, and again, I apologize. Meant no offense, and certainly no disrespect to the people of American Samoa, who I've found to be nothing but intelligent, respectful, and highly capable in everything I've seen them do.
Then your office shouldn't have a difficulty finding people to occupy positions that you need. I will now open the for questions from the Official President. Sauno ia pe ai se siri mo le tato mori mau.
Le se fa mamlaman le mai la ufiong al pidi nei. O ngumi a ko ama ko. O sa ongol pidi ngai a ko ai melor ko vanga fo o e uma lo serve reports and commission automatically go is resign.
Ai o le angangal tu la fono fa pe a fai o se tangata pe o le fate ingo se director. O le director wa o lai sau tono tu la fono o ia e nofo i tono o support. Ave la ai fa amuta ko vana le tofi director. Tu sa la pe fa inga luenga pe le malo o le o toi director wa lu ese ma le board. A o ele director fo o ia na tau ave ina le board na pe fo i o tātou. A fai e tofia se tangata se sentoa i se board i le lua tausanga uma le term. Ia a uma lalonga term i le taimi ua whaamuta ai ua mawhai ana o te tau ana tūla i ese. Ai a fai i toi whaawau e le adu ese lawa i le tūlanga lea. Ai a fai o whiriwhiria se sui fōu. Ia ona mawhai lea ona whaamuta o le la le to whinga. O le winga na o le tūla whono. ina ia awana ia ele fete na inga lea sa tupu talu i nei seisi o ai fo o tō whinga sa whai i le tusa o le afa o le term. Ia u whina mai lolo tangata, ele i umalo term langa lo term e whatau sanga. Ia au le o te nofo le ofisa le na mafua ai o na alu i tonu. Ia la lea lana ia ele fete na inga. Ua musul tangata alu ese au le te maualo na tō whinga. Ua te tau na tula i ese. Ai talu la ele o iese nga ngana whaapea i le tula fono. Ia ua iei lo le whinaunga nana alai o na tau mo whai e whaatula i ese wha malosi i le sui lea. O na ua alu ese ma ngā lua ngā le malo. Ai musu alu ese ma le board.
So, let's take for an example of a pela o le asina.
Ia.
Le sa ele Director of Public Works i asina. Le lau tula i merko ana fou. O le ale mea iai, e alu ese.
Talu e ono o tō whinga na ele o whale o sina. Ai o le Director of Public Works.
Okay.
O lona winga o ai o sui tūlanga i le tofi ale o le Director of Public Works. O ia na na te whaau tō whinga.
Alu ese la ia.
Ai ese whale o sina.
E wala kul Director fou, mala. Pa fel tangata ele i expire long a term. For an example, whinaunga le whinaunga ngel ko vana whai me lei. Ele border whalmai. Tu siakul ko vana tauna submit la ko resignation. A submit a resignation ngaka oila la running ar whalmai. I koe ngā menga kaunga clarifying i le mamra manga le kumu. Wa le border running a o ese ngela ka ngaka oila running ar. Si fe mesfa mamra ma Gwen po.
Ia, whawhitai lava na whionga Prestene mo Fisili. Pau lava lau so atu in ta upu lea. Pēla o lo saunoanga i le whanma. Ia e foi maisi boards te itasi. Pau ala so swani po sau pautuanga. So swani atu ai le in ta upu. E tangtanga i board te itasi o lo whaatu la fono. Ma wha upu i to tono o lato tu la fono wha vai. I el wha upunga lea wha pia a umalo lo nofo inga. A umalo ngad wenga le na tō fia ai oe. Ia, ona tu la ese lea ai se is tō fia mai e tō wana po wailava e tauna tō fia ai le ni tangata. Ia tō fia mai se si tangata e whaia lo wawanoa. O tele o malamalama tere la i le tō whinga lea le LBJ. Langa a whaapea o whaipule le o whai ma sui a le LBJ ona o lana tō whinga whaipule. Ia o lai lava o lo whaipule. A whaapea la e alu ese. O te awai i le manatu lea, a whaapea alu ese. Ia e te tau whai ona su ese si whaipule. Ona o le ngangana lava na o le whaupunga o le tūla whono. Ma o te iloa o le a whapea o le manatu o le tūla whono lea. E ma oti lava i boards mo commissions o laisa wai ona o lo tofi. Ona o lo tofi whainga o lo nganwenga. Ai e leo manino pe umalo le tofi. E tauloa ona e tūla i ese. Pe o le ngangana na o le tūla whono ina i wha manino. Umalo tofi e tauna e alu ese. Ai pau lava so swani atu. E mānei e fo i pe a tuur whaupunga ngā i whaavai te itasi o board te itasi whamonmon. E lale, toi titilo i o notes le no talano atu e mua. And the one board in the statute that I was able to find is the American Samoa Criminal Justice Planning Board. And in that board, it specifically says, should any member cease to be an officer or employee of the unit or agency he is appointed to represent, his membership on the board shall terminate immediately, and a new person will be selected. And that commission is made up of members of different elected members. So specific government members that are on that board. So that would be my suggestion, is to whether to consider putting it into the statute itself. But ole ngangana nga that's ole pe ole mafuanga na ole pili e mana e fole manatu ina ia manino. Laftai.
E te teltonu e tauna ien fai pule Boards and Commission.
Well, I guess I'd have to answer that depending on the board or commission. Ale manatu ina ia yes ne imewa yes conflict ile ngadwenga le faipule po le sentor ia male board or commission. I think
What do you mean conflict?
because ale oversight ale senate po
So
le
is a conflict le
House.
vao Kennedy malonga usonga o Kofi Abe Matoni General. Was that a conflict?
e fentau na tali atu le city na, but
Io menga le
That's
aleng ofsilia ko le
Mm.
conflict pe ai fai
Yeah.
pule le Boards and Commission.
well,
Le aleng ofsilia ko. Was there a conflict between Kennedy and his brother? He appointed him as an Attorney General.
maybe it depends. I is a case tula imai I lem fai e winga ile presidente. I ne mewo lem fai ele attorney general na prosecute be fai le ngat winga ono le lava.
Si le upa le conflict le aleng o kau kurkuria.
Yeah.
Sa kula i mai kong yola kau ese sa kofi whao e vea ma ke kupe. Sa ese conflict. Akari e no.
Mm.
Ranga ave irfa ku kuanga o la ue me fape. Ape ngā fwela le fono. Ape sa wanga kong yola leng sa wanga e palangi dea. Ia ka uma eo ma koe le anga waa fai puli. E le anga waa le kungu doesn't sound good to me. Ai whapkai a kong yola u sa wanga ku kau aku iai. O le mauka ngia na mauka le kungu kumu kakanga se kuloa la koa kumu langa waa. Langa sa wanga mea le koa vanga na makarangwanga. Kar kungu nga le mga oila ko ile kaungu ing fai pule Boards and Commission. Ile hikir ka ko malo. E alanga i o fai pule sosong. Sosong in fau ngar ka ko malo ni. A problem mi fai ngai mar ka ko malo. Lai kiki kere malo a problem fai problem a nation ki kele. A re ka sosong ya kul fono. E ki kar kongu ra kaunga i fono ingisir fono i. Boards and Commission Gwen.
Fafkai lava mo la saungwanga. Ia board pe ano fai atu. It depends ai le board ma commission. Ia boards ma commission o lai fa ma oti mai. Ia sui o le fono e tau na tofia I boards ma commissions. Ia e tau la na ilo mta upu na a whapea la pe se whataitaina. A ia se ono o le ngadwenga tā ua o le fono. I le lato oversight o boards, ma commissions, ma agencies taitasi. O ina e iaisi no popo lenga I le vā lea. Paula na o lo soswani atu ta upu lea, pawhitai.
Well, it's a common appointment like myself, Kongiola, T-Pass. I'm the retirement. Pui ka fai pui kupil di kaya. Ela, isa fai ngan. Papa pero fai merkula fo.
Oppositions ia e le o whaatula whanuina ai o tō whinga patino ala ko wana ia. Le winga na le fsile to ai le presidente.
Pe iei se a whaina. E whentanto e whātu sa o whamtalanga lana lewa uman tō pia lo a pionga. Ai paulava nao sa o soswani atu mta upu. Ina ia ilo e le lana o sui ia o lo iei le pēla o lo a fionga. Wa uman tō fia, wa uman a pāsia I te tono o ilonga le senate, whapea fono. So e whentanto e whātu sa o tala I mta upu dea. Ai paulava sina soswani atu. Ia mo le lumanai. Po le a e ilo e tō fionga. Pe iela se ile vala leo o le oversight responsibility ale fono. Ia masui nei. Pe iela se conflict or concern, ia a whapea le ai, ia pēlau le mene wo tūlai mai. Ai pēa no whai atu e whaintano tō whai atu tō tala, wo uma o na whai tō whinga nei. Whawhitai.
It's a great political answer. Yeah, Samoa, feeling out?
That's what I've known. Nei tūla, o whionga te te komiti, ma tūla o tātou i le longa. A tāra whāts fōi lau o whionga le Tauiliili a ma pēle Counsel le no i ara whionga le ko wana. Counsel, Chairman already voiced some of the issue that, and hearing what you have in your response to the chamber this morning. I know you already responded, and I don't need any more response back, but I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm kind of feel different this morning when you start talking about what's going on within the government and some of the stuff that we had mentioned this morning. As you look around this circle over here, we have a former governor sitting on the Senate, two presidents of the Senate been here, judges, and some lawyers, and some doctors over here, and engineers in this chamber here. I feel real small when you start talking like that in this chamber. I am a retired military, U.S. Navy. So was the former president. He was a retired from the Army. We control many, many people under our control. We will serve. I served 20 years. And I think the former president of the Senate probably served more than 20 years. We all educated people are sitting in this chamber. We're in charge of our village, and counties, sitting on this chamber. And don't you ever come here and talk like that is this chamber. I feel like this when you start talking like that. All this issue that we're talking about this morning is because you guys are not doing your job. This is already set in the law. We are in the 7th month of your administration, and there's so many boards has not been fulfilled. It's not filled. Why? Because you guys are not doing your job to help up the government. That's your job. Look at the boards. There's a lot of boards that's been vacant. We cannot just say, you go home. Who's going to run the government? Who's going to run all those agencies? Who's going to run it? I don't need your response, okay? You already respond to the chairman. I appreciate what you said, but I'm sorry I have to tell you. I have to get it out of my system. Now, whionga ale Tauiliili. Naua o e whaafonga le pili nei tai au tāua le pili. O lea fo ia tau mawhai ta mao lea tunu. Ina ia tau mawhai. E whaasau sao ni isi o mea ua tau wa ia tua le folo ai le whainga malo mo le alunga ium. Pau asi na pole titi a mea ia. Ina i te ua tu e te lea tu mea wati lea ina le lo o tau pole an mea la whai. Ai mana o mia le fono nei. Le whatu langa mai ngā ruenga wa uman tu pepa. Le mana o mia le fono nei. A mai boards, po a mea taun whai wai le mwhai o tona. Just, ele oko meki le kako pailake, le kako valere le aru kemi ngai. Somebody should be on helm. And that is one of your duty. From le mole la wa whionga ko ale Tauiliili. Aua ki fefe whai unga mai ale kui pere ko vanga. What is need? O oe o le legal advice ko vanga. O oe ale main. Po ai lava e whaia le tunga pautua le ko vana o lawa whionga lava whaalongo, taunga whaalongo, tasi e ko vana i me umai whai. Take some time to read through all the paperwork and all the stuff that needs to be done. Please, you know. Ole tatou pili lau sunga ale ate taifono pawa so papopotu tatou pili ni te ia ua o alu pili pasia ia tatou nga mautou langa e taufo tatou baba ai i tatou pili individually board chair o a mele spell out mai ai ni te conflict le individual board nga mele dictate mai ia tatou mele auli intent pili nei ia le uma fam la matou le fionga te committee. Le mwina moni ana pili lea. I whawhai ngofia isi ngā ruenga i alo to terminate. Ia ona i upuna e watu. O le hafoi se mamawhatu se whamtalanga nei tai au. Ia marua wai whale. Le aio mātou nei nofo atu. O te mao le atunu. E watu whautuanga i au whionga a loi sili. A wāle so swani malosi i tūlanga o tātou whainga malo. Ia ona i upuna nei tai au. Tai atu le noa.
Ai sa noa. Ia lau whionga te maitai. Sui maru e vai punua.
Lau whionga te whanua. Whionga presidente whatalo whaile. I mo mau nei fui tai au. E ti malo soatau. E whaftai atu i lau whionga i le tai committee. O le malama le sa whapupula mai e le o mamla mai le nganga. Le language o le o tatu tula fondo. Paulana wa tiro pesa o le whalogoloko. O board member ia le anga point. Ma point o lako position. Le pe whapupula iai. Au le mele e tau fina welo ma whau pe whaino whapopopela mele ta ua le whionga presidente. Le laua ele expire le for le term o le board member ai le ngatia e ele mele na mai lunga official ko vanda va pe o tau ona le fama vai e kusa lo pula fama vai ma terminate ava pe fama vai o le wo fai ke fama vai le ka wel fan ba le la ele mele te tau ona pe ma fai ona ofia i to tonu o tula fono le pe ona mai le ngata le wa sa o le atu la fono wa tau te le ita ngata wo muso ese a le wo manino tu la fono e o lo te mi wa le to fia o el position not been appointed again so your position in a board member should be expired or might as well in other words terminate so o la ula sili tangata le wa ele expire ele expire long term alewa a mai le fadinga wo mana o a fo terminate o pe a rua pe se o ma to finga o la fisili on da fo e fi mai le o la malosi o lo ye ne tu la fono le nei e ma fai ai la fa ngale so fa la fe ko vana pa pe wa mana ko vana fa terminate fai le board member le friend mai te mana o la suyo o la malosi o lo iai ina ele expiring but his term is not expired but he is been appointed because of the position he's a representative o la se pio ke mga o va pe mo sa va no lo fionga te committee ele ono merle
Salo le to finga fal mai e fai ngo fien fa pula o le tusial ko vana tal sanga i ala toye tonal board talua yo na e foula na no fo inga a fa ai fa ma vai ese mai ma le board ai se i tofia tu ia se board fo if so ani mata upu ia i lo ula i roa o le tulangal na e fa langolango e fa ai unga le board member ia pe a fa i umalonga term e ela i le mela len tupul fal mai o te loa o le li len tai committee o ai fili ia ele i umalonga term a o manatu a ia talial tal sanga ko vana le na la ina fa ma vai ia o le sunga ia Allen le fai pule ele i umalonga term manatu ia e fia nofo pe ia le board le na mailan fa adinga ko vana ele i umalo term o te fia nofo pe mai o te lefa ma vai pe o fa pulanga manino na le tulanga le o tangata ia o umalonga term se vanga na aida o le fal mai e ele fa punga lai to tonu o le tula fono fal mai. These board members serve until replaced. Until replaced. E fato a faila le suinga pe a umona o mai o le suafa fou fa ma nia le fono fai tula fono o na alu lole o tangata le nata u awe le ngaduenga a alu esel tangata tuai ua umalonga term. O lona winga le whampulanga. Tu sala pe ua umale term o tangata. O le tulanga lea na ngaosia le tula fono. Ina ia aua ne I eise whawhitauli I ngā luenga le board mō le whanmai. Ia iai pēr se board e whaawa wina ngā luenga se I o le teini ua whaiaile fisuia inga ana lu se leo tangata ua umal term ai no fo ai le tangata fou le ua umal tofia. O le ngangal tula fono le tulangal na awane I motusia ngā luenga le board. Ona ua uma terms. Le mela na le na la intu ia yo le ele na al board na falma ia fo isi tato board o lo ia le fa upungal na is serve until replaced. Ia ona o le ngangal na ina ia awane ia ise tulanga fa pea ua uma terms o la wali leo ese loa ai le ise quorum al board ia na le mawhailo leo na whai asa ngā ruenga. Ia le ngangala na o le fa upunga na al tula fono ina ia whaawa wina ngā luenga se I o ina whaile fisuia inga. Ia, lau whionga sui malu mai fō.
Kai komiti mo le wanoa. Ia, uke whakalofa fwoi whakulol pa I o le moka. Whakalofa kulu mo le mau. Lau whionga le lo I sili, le zefo le council. E kuri loa lau fisili le saunoanga le whionga le preskengi. Lenga mention, Gwen, you mentioned sfumal kasi posi affected le pili lea. That's created by statute. Lenga mention sfumal kasi via boards here affected le pili lea. E saole.
There's at least 11.
At least 11.
There might be more. I didn't catch the LBJ board in that list, but so there's more than 11, but there's at least 11. And these are boards ia o laesa waile whaupunga whaapea o sui o boards o lae whaamalau mai o sui o boards onga o lako ngadwenga I le malo, pela le Director of Commerce or Treasurer. So there's about 11, if not more than 11, that are specifically identified as members based on their employment with the government.
Okay, whaftai
Yeah.
pe mawhai ona lumanai pe whainga maua se lisio ka kou pōtia o lo ilalo o le affected by this bill. O le se ofisi le kuli aku saunoanga le whionga le presking. Because you mentioned oversight I le pōtia of commission. Because o ke fia, o le ke fia malmalama pe, is there a problem? For any issues or concern from the past I kangaka I assign aku pela o whaipule ma I a whionga senkoa. Is there a problem I wakupu? It seems to me foi le leo kom whai le malo e ave se umai I le fonga whaikula fonga ma pōtia. That's my take on it. O leo ke fsilia kwai. E po ese mea wakupu le. Is there any concerns and issues in mea lea o ke fia iloa? Le mafuaanga o alainga mga o le whionga le kovanga I ave se umai awange ko I se fono whaitula fono I kongo pōtingi.
Salopela atu le avanoa I le loia le ofisa kovana. Itali atu le fisiri lea pe yeise mafoanga alaina yeise manatu ar kovana pensau noa ia le presidente e awane toi awai o te leo malamlama tele I le saunoanga tovana ai pe o ni saunoa ia le presidente ina awane toi tofia ia nisi o le fale fono faitula fono e fai masui o le o boards ma commissions. And just to clarify, the question is from Senator Olo, whether or not the governor has a concern or issue, and what is that concern or issue with appointing fono members to be members of specific boards or commissions.
Thank you, Senator. That is a good question. It has been a matter of discussion within the office on whether that is the policy or a guiding principle, but just to be fair and open, that has been a topic of discussion, that there are those within the administration that believe it's a conflict or a duplication of viewpoints to have members of the Fono in positions on boards and commissions that aren't designated for that purpose. For instance, there are some, as you know, like ASGRF, that the retirement where there are specific representatives from the phono, or a CETA that says, you know, there is a representative from each chamber. But that is not a hard and fast policy, has not been made official in any way. Hopefully that is a direct answer. I also just wanted to say one thing relating to the, obviously my Samoan is, to say is bad is an understatement, but tracking some of the discussion about placing some, about these positions, where are they in their official capacity. I did think of a specific example of Terry Van Eaton, who was legal counsel, deputy legal counsel in the Lamanu administration, was on the ACETA board. And his contract was not renewed at the end of the Lamanu administration. He moved back to the mainland, but remained on the ACETA board, was asked to resign from that position. And my question is, would this legislation have removed Mr. Van Eaton from that board, given, is it the intention that he would have? And I apologize, that is not a direct response to your question, but again, I have it's challenging sometimes for me to follow the discussion.
On the senator's question, these kind of ad hoc discussions in the governor's office and the administration about the attitude towards the presence of legislature members on certain boards, does that include legislative members who are placed on boards because of designation by the statute that creates that board?
Senator, no, that's not the intent. I've heard no discussion of removing the requirement, the positions where there's a requirement that's a representative.
Right,
of the
yeah,
vote.
because
Does
it's one thing for the governor to appoint legislative members, but it's something else that members are appointed to a board because the law says one member should come from this chamber and one member should come from the other chamber in that board. And that would require statutory amendments.
Absolutely agree.
Thank you. That's all. I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Haftai. Ia, masano o leo to ia ini isi fisili. Vela o leo e whai masui o le fiatu al presidente ma le malu tamai o le atunu. Mo le atu whaftaitele lau fionga lo isili, whaono ina o lo teimi tāua. Ia soa ni mai le mote lan ngā luenga whaftai mo whautuanga manino, whautuanga tamai. O ta oto mai lu malmota ia whapena fo ilo sapsapaia o le anganga tu la fono ina ia tau whaa. Manino ia tūlanga ma tau fia aini wheesesea inga i le taimi o whesuia inga o nofo inga i le whatau teia o tātou malo whaftai tele lava. Ia o a fo ini whelafo inga i le neita eau ia mori atu le whaftai o sai ma le whapalepale. Ia, o a fo ini la ngona e watu e tamai o le atunu. Ia, o la ngona lawa e whaawai runga o le tau mwhai ina ia whaia le ngā ruanga ma le toa. Ia, ma le anganga mō le anga i lumo le atunu ia manuia. Ia, ia manuia tele ngā ruanga o lo whenga iai. Ia, le whautuanga masania le fono whaitu la fono. Ia, tautua nāu tau tiut. Whai ma le alofa i le atunu. Whai ma le ami tonu ina i saunga le mūle le sa o le malo. Whaftai atu i le whionga le kovana mo le soasoa ni mai fo i le au ina mai o lona ofisa. Ia e langolango ina le wha moe moe pe an whaatara sanga ina le nei tae au. So i fua.
Ia, whaftai lava i lawa fionga le taitai komiti. A vea ia o e whai masui o maa ua le au mori mau. E mamoli atu foi lau whaftai le komiti. Whapea foi le mamalu o le maota maulunga. Whawhetai foi mo le ne ia wanoa wa maua ina ia tātou fisila whai ai au wale le nema tā upu tā ua. A ve foi au e whai masui e wha malulu atu foi. Malu ave i whale o tau fina ngalo. Pe a whai wo iei se upu o sasi. Pe a whai foi wo iei se manatu o wha leo e le talawhea ngai iei ma tau manatu. Whamalulu watu. Ai whawhetai foi ma ia maua pēr le tau soifua lau le lei. Ai ola pēr ma uai au auna al malo whawhetai.
Ia, o le iungal nā tātou i loilonga le nei tae au, ia se i tula i tātou mo le mau. Ia ona tātou walo le i le mau o wale, whaawawina o tātou ngā luenga, whawhetai lava, ngā sunga loi sili. Ia whapea foi le whautua al ko wana.